See if we
So
can
are
run
we
that. I
ready
guess we
for
got
the
this
roll?
set up and run it. And we're talking now with Paula
My
Gloria, and here comes the
programs
piece,
They're
right?
great. Can we hear it in the studio?
Scientifically
I had asked a producer at MNN of 35 years to talk to a saint and to consider this whole topic of higher consciousness. And he begrudgingly agreed, came down to the station and asked some very, very interesting questions. And I'd like to play.
No, my programs have involved people scientifically examining pictures of the World Trade Centers coming down and making the argument that the United States government planted explosives in the World Trade Centers to cause them to collapse because they wanted to frighten the American people into such a level of fear that that fear could be manipulated into making more militarism, more fascistic changes in our government. And what I was wondering about is if you can imagine waking up the American people in particular to that idea, what resources, what emotional
Mr.
resources?
Joe, what is greatness of America? People are very intelligent.
I see America as a people who are fooled, who are
They are
conned.
fooled. Why they are fooled? Because they are more intellectual. They have an ego of their intellectuality.
Yeah.
So they have to suffer much. They are being exploited by the politicians.
And by the media supplying them with bad information.
Yes.
It's like, maybe from the outside it looks like we're doing so good, but from on the inside, the
I
American
watch
people,
TV
yeah,
here in the hotels. I don't see any program. Even though I saw 13, I am watching many good people at speaking. They are also doing a business.
yeah.
Now note this very carefully. He's saying that even on Channel 13, the public broadcast, they also are doing a business. He says that knowledge isn't something to be bought and sold. It's something far too precious. And this gives us an insight into what a valuable tool public access TV can be.
Showmanships. So why everything is a business? For America, everything is a business.
And that's bad.
And this is, they are teaching whole world everything is a business.
So the ways of business are to be lacking in morality, not to care about the things that we think should be cared about.
Then what will be the end of this? Destruction.
Yeah. So we
Only
have to,
mind. A mind means fighting. Mind means struggling. Mind means suffering. Let them people learn about the heart.
and truth.
Truth. If they open the door of heart, truth is there.
Keep in mind, as an Indian, in the Indian science, the heart is at the basis of all of the five senses. The mind is the basis of all the five senses, and at the basis of the five senses, the mind is the heart. So he's talking about something not sentimental.
So far mind, door of mind is open, there is no truth. It is a duality, confusions, unbalance. Because energy is once it is unbalanced. Negative, positive, we always fight. Because this is a need of let world move.
The need of let the world move is this state of unbalance where you have things divided into negative and positive.
I think,
And he's talking about something more.
again, just thanks. As far as the problematic role of the United States in the world, from my view, I'm with you that I hope we change from our ways now to ways.
I must say that Joe, being very typical of an intellectual Jewish politically active member of the New York community, has a hard time fathoming beyond the mind. And that's why he was a little bit uncomfortable. But you can see that the master, Pilot Baba, is very impressed with Joe's heart and with his sincere seeking for the solutions of what's so troubling.
Of the heart and love and truth and human
They are not
understanding.
having any seminar of any good things. They are not making relationship in India for the spiritual teaching, a moral teaching. They are trying to develop a nuclear power.
Perverse.
The president gone to India, he must could invite a beautiful master, make here good intellectual people who is teaching, make them sit together, let them have a good talks, conversations, what should be done better for the country, for the world. Say. Any
Now, let me at this point clarify. Pilot Baba comes from a tradition where
Okay, that's really interesting. I don't know what he's talking about either. I don't understand that kind of thing. I'm sorry. I'm in the Western tradition. The heart is an organ that pumps blood. And it's just a metaphor. I can understand it, but it's in the mind.
Let me
everything.
just explain a little bit
Yeah.
about my style. I was taking Joe's conversation with an Indian saint, and then I do this pause, so I sort of elaborate on it.
Yeah.
That's the style.
Yeah, that was good,
And
I
then,
think, yeah.
and then where you saw me at the end, I was in the express studio.
Right.
So public access allows a producer, which could be any New York resident,
Yes,
to
underscore.
come in to gain command, gain the skills, and then to express, whatever they feel is important to express.
Absolutely.
So what?
It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. So what I was doing at first, a lot of producers will hide those controls, but I just show those controls, and it was a really hot day. I bicycled up on my bicycle.
I understand. Yeah.
And so I was very casually dressed, but I said, hey, this is who I am.
Transparency.
And anyone could come in and do that.
Yeah.
So what I liked about that show with Joe was he was giving a very thorny question to a foreigner, and to make a comment on 9/11 is pretty difficult. And some people in the know have indicated that the best books on the subject aren't even in English. It's in French and in other
On
countries.
what subject again?
How the World Trade Center towers came
Oh,
down.
yes, all the 9/11
And I
truth
think-
movement,
yeah,
as
the
it's called.
9/11
It's getting a great deal of support
Yeah.
around a great number
so,
of people.
So I was the one that said, hey, saints, if they've accomplished anything, let's throw, something like this. And Joe was hesitant to do it. And this thing went on, this conversation, and he elaborated, and Joe understood it in a certain way, but I understood it in a different way, and I was very excited by what Joe's sincere questions were able to bring, because these masters have the ability, they have like a nice environment around them, a clarity of thought. So if you're in their company, they help you clarify your own thinking. So some people call this a blessing. So political people oftentimes are in very turbulent surroundings. There's a lot of pressure on them, a lot of expectations, and so they often will seek these people, particularly in India. But the saints can be hesitant to give their attention and their time and their energy and their focus to somebody who they feel doesn't really want to help the people. But someone like you, who's been for 35 years doing public access.
Oh, longer than that even. No,
yeah,
though,
not doing it for money. People of goodwill would notice this. And the same thing, of course, with Joe. So I have often, like Frank Craven, remember?
Absolutely, saw him the other night,
Yeah,
Frank. Good to see him, yeah.
I took a whole slew of people to see another saint who came here, and believe it or not, he zeroed right in on Frank. And what I also learned when in my 4-year study was that those with exalted levels of consciousness may not even be recognized in this society. They may even be considered like beggars or despised.
Yeah,